Thank you for joining us on 24 Plus. I am ABC24 anchor Pepper Baker. It is a big election year for Shelby County, and the primaries are on May 5th. But there's a lot that goes into elections in general, a lot of people behind the scenes, and we're going to break down some voter education to make sure that you are well prepared ahead of each election date. So bringing to the table today is Shelby County Republican Party Chair Rachel Wall.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Perfect. So it wasn't too long ago, I think January 30th, when you were named into the role as Shelby County Republican Party Chair. So how is that going?
It's going great. I've been serving in a interim capacity for the last few months, but it was on the 20th of January that I was officially elected to serve as the permanent chairman of the Shelby County Party.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a big one. And you've had some notable people in that role as well. So clearly the party chose correctly.
Thank you.
So for people who may not know you or might not be familiar, what is your background and how did you kind of get into politics?
Sure. Originally from Middle Tennessee, spent my formative career, as I like to describe it, in politics in Washington, D.C. I was in D.C. for 13 years, worked for 2 members of Congress from Tennessee initially, then ultimately moved over and worked for Newt Gingrich when he was Speaker, and then kind of the end of his term, and then Speaker Denny Hastert for 8 years. Then we lost the House in 2006, and I stayed on with 2 other members of Congress as in a shared role for the final year I was there. But I met my husband that last year, and he was from West Tennessee. And so that's how I got here, and had children and took a little pause from politics, but in the last few years have towed back in, worked in campaigns last fall, and that transitioned me to this party role.
Yeah, so you have quite the resume there.
Thanks.
So you've worked in D.C. and then you've worked under prominent people in politics, and now you're in Shelby County.
Yep.
How would you kind of describe politics in Shelby County?
Well, it's different. I mean, you know, I've had the luxury of working in the majority and the minority. More so, I would describe the luxury as the majority. But you know, that's not the case always here in Shelby County. It's a very blue county, and so as a Republican, you have to be really intentional about how you face campaigns and elections. And so, but it's fun and interesting. If you like politics, this is a great place to be in politics.
Yeah. So we are working on trying to make sure people have as much knowledge as they can heading into all of the election dates, first one being the primaries on May 5th. So let's just take it back to a very simple level. So the Shelby County Republican Party chair, there's also a Shelby County Democratic Party as well. But what does the Shelby County Republican Party do?
Well, we serve a variety of roles, but probably the most noteworthy right now is recruiting, vetting, selecting candidates who can pull a petition and run for office in Shelby County. And so we have a process in place. There are some basic rules if you want to run and serve in that way. And so that's our singular focus right now.
Okay, and that's quite a focus because this election season is already shaping up to be quite an interesting one. So the bona fide process, or for a candidate to be bona fide, let's just take that term there. What does it mean to be bona fide?
Well, it's kind of how the sausage is made in a way, but to be bona fide, you have to have voted as a Republican in 3 of the last 4 primary elections that included a statewide candidate. You have to have served in some kind of a role with the party. It's pretty subjective, but you might have volunteered on campaigns. You might have held signs. You might be a contributing member to the Republican Party. It's not expressly defined, but we're looking for someone who's been involved in some way.
Okay, and how long does that vetting process typically take?
Well, it's pretty straightforward in that your voting record is very easy to establish, but most of the people who want to run for office, they've already served in some way, or they've been involved. And so it's that part's pretty straightforward. The interviewing and meeting with candidates, that process takes longer. But in terms of the black and white factuality of who's qualified is pretty straightforward.
Yes, most definitely. So this year is quite wild to me because there's just a lot of races on the ballot. We're talking about commission, the Shelby County mayor, sheriffs. There's quite a bit of partisan races and rumblings that even the school board might even be partisan at some point, or that's still working out. So I do want to focus, well, before I focus on one, what do you think are going to be the key races people should pay attention to this election?
Well, on our side, certainly county commission, county mayor. I mean, all of them.
Right.
I want to say all of them because we have really walked down a path with all of these candidates. And from their perspective, their race is the race. And we want them to feel that from us too. There isn't a race that's really of less importance. They're all wins for the Republican Party. And so we try and face every single one of the races where we have a candidate in a very intentional way.
Do you find, because you mentioned being kind of a blue county in a very deep red state, but you're the Republican Party chair for this county, are there kind of uphill battles with that, or how do you all kind of strategize around that?
Sure. I mean, I think if we're being realistic, there are certain races that are more of a long shot for us. And so we could deny that, but it would be denying the truth. And so speaking of intentionality, we've tried to really look at the races where we have the best shot and go for those.
Most definitely. And when we talk about kind of stepping back to the candidate and bonification and vetting process, you were very pretty direct on some of those bullet points of what they have to hit. So are you all, would you say you're really strict on those, or is there a little bit of a gray area just based on each candidate?
We're pretty strict. Ultimately, the state party makes the decision if there is someone who is questionable. For example, if we have a race where neither, there's a primary where neither candidate is bona fide, then I think that there's more latitude there in letting those candidates run. If we're in a primary where one candidate's a bona fide and the other isn't, ultimately the state's going to make that decision. But I have a feeling I know how they'll vote on that decision. But we try and send them the best candidates we can, and then they make that ultimate decision.
So then this may be kind of a silly question, but you just kind of popped something in my head. So if the county party does not bonify a candidate, they can still run maybe as independent, or can they still run as a Republican?
That would be up to the state party to decide, yeah.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so that seems to be a lot to have to figure out right before, again, May 5th, and we're already in February.
I don't disagree, it is.
You have quite a full plate there. So I do want to kind of zero in a little bit on the Shelby County mayor's race, because that one is ramping up. You all are potentially having an announcement on the Republican side on Thursday, which is tomorrow by the time you see this. But the Democrats, as you can see on your screen right now, have a loaded race as far as the people who've announced and who are bona fide. So those started as early as a year ago. Some of them announced their campaigns, but I noticed you all are just now kind of coming into that announcement. Is there a strategy behind waiting? Did you guys kind of want to see who was on the Democratic side before choosing who you give support to?
Yeah, the only strategy was finding the right candidate. And that was a process. We met with a lot of people that we thought might make a great mayor. And ultimately, we believe we have found the candidate who will make an outstanding mayor for Shelby County, and we're extremely excited to announce that on Thursday.
On Thursday. And now Republican County mayors is not quite, it's quite rare in Shelby County. I was kind of doing some digging and talking to some of my sources, and Mark Luttrell was the last Republican county mayor. So, how do you all think your odds really stack up?
Well, pretty good, honestly. We've done some polling that tells us that in in African American communities, typical Democrat voters, the water is very warm for a crossover. They are interested in some different options. They're interested in a candidate who is truly qualified to face problems that we're dealing with in Shelby County, like crime, like education, someone who can really responsibly run our government. And so we feel extremely optimistic about our chances in light of what polling has shown us.
Okay, and what does it mean to have the support of the Republican Party behind you, the Shelby County Republican Party behind you? Are you all going to be participating in sort of like campaign efforts, or just, what does that look like?
Right, so we'll have ample volunteers to support any candidate. We support candidates with mailers. And it's not just mayor, it's all of our candidates. We put together a substantial grassroots effort that is really valuable during campaign season, and our candidate will have the luxury of having the full support of the party. We're not having to distribute our resources among 7 candidates in a primary.
Yeah, and that strength, that has a lot of strength behind it, or can. So a couple lasting questions here. January 20th is when you took over as chair, and you've had, this is quite a big year to come in as chair. So I mean, are you, but you have a lot of experience. Your resume is pretty deep from what you've said. So does this feel like you have a good handle on it? Are you, I mean, just how are you feeling having to kind of deal with all of this?
It's wild. There is a change in the playing field every single day. And so do I have a handle on it? I have a handle on it today. But that's what's fun about this business, and what is today will evolve tomorrow. It's exciting. I am so pleased to be working with all of the people that I've met with the party. The candidates are outstanding. We are blessed with public servants who might not be running right now, but we have a community of people who love Memphis and Shelby County. They may not be a candidate now. I have a feeling they will be someday. And so the process has been enormously rewarding.
Most definitely. And we are seeing on a national level just quite a lot of tension with politics on both sides. So do you think that at all play the current administration and narratives around that, and just how the opposite side is reacting and whatnot to it? Do you think that will play at all in how you all are pushing support for the Republicans?
That's a great question. I think it's overlooked at times, the value in having a candidate who can really sort of set politics aside and move forward in an effort to just accomplish what's best for the county. When I was in Washington, D.C., I felt like with my colleagues and peers, we really worked in that direction. We might duke it out during the day, but dinner was totally on the table in the evening. And so I hope that we can, especially here in Shelby County, sort of restore more of a congenial attitude toward politics. Because I think if we do that, we can accomplish so much more than just being in a divisive state of play in terms of politics.
Most definitely. And I want to ask you about social media. Do you ever have any type of just kind of way that you advise some of the candidates to handle social media? And this is on both sides. In my time as a journalist here in Memphis, I have not personally seen so much candid responses on social media. And I'm not going to call anybody out particularly, but if you follow Facebook enough, you'll know. Yeah. But do you have any words, or do you kind of take it up with candidates about how they should handle social media?
No. No, it really is up to the individual candidate. And I think that we all get to see their personality and how they face their social media dialogue. I enjoy the daylights out of it as a bystander. I think it's so fun. And, some have more courage than others in terms of, going at it online. But no, get involved in that.
Okay, understood. All right, last question here. Of course, viewers and voters at home who are interested in just being informed, just anything else you want them to know about what they need to know ahead of early voting starts April 16th, but the primaries are May 5th and then generals after that. But just anything you feel is important for voters to know.
Vote, please go vote. It's vitally important. You know, we have experienced low turnout, especially in the county, for quite some time. We are really hoping to address that in these elections. But we, you know, top to bottom, from assessor to county mayor, they're all important to each individual resident. Go vote, play a role in the process.
Yeah, that's a very important message there. All right, well, I think that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much for being here, Chair Wall, and thank you all for watching. Be sure to stay informed and keep watching ABC24 and 24 Plus for all your latest updates on elections. Thank you for watching.
Thanks.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 24 Plus app everywhere you stream.